We're good to go?
Yeah, I think
All
we're good to go.
right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Geopolitics in Conflict show. So
Yep.
excited to be here. How are you, Elizabeth?
I'm doing okay. A little under the weather, but I'm doing okay.
Well, stay away from medication. That's my advice to you. So,
Yeah.
but you, oh, you got the
I
sound
do.
on
I have
your phone.
I
Good.
do.
Well, anyway, we're so excited to be here. I know you guys noticed that sometimes we move the live a little early, but this is under different circumstance because of the nature of the topic. And we feel, because like Elizabeth mentioned last time, we're trying to build the community here. And to us, the idea of sort of a turn of event like what just happened, it behooves us to just get on the air and share not only the information, but the knowledge and the analysis with our viewers. And that's what we're going to be doing today.
Absolutely. And I think that it's very interesting. So this specific topic, we had a little bit of a different topic planned for today, but then we saw this and we said, this is actually really important. And a lot of Western media in particular isn't really talking about it. And I think for obvious reasons, a lot of Western media isn't really talking about it. And that is that Zelensky made a very clear message, said something very specific, which do you want to read it or do you want me to read it?
You go ahead.
Okay, so Zelensky said, "We offered China to become a partner in the implementation of the peace formula. We passed over our formula across all channels. We invite you to dialogue. We are waiting for your answer." Now, Zelensky said this in a press conference while speaking alongside Japanese Prime Minister
Fumio Kishida.
Thank you. In Kyiv. So this just happened. And this in itself, it's not them, formally inviting China to come to Kyiv and have a conversation, but it is the opening in the invitation of China to join peace talks. China very recently brokered peace. And this is sort of cutting the Western world out of these talks.
Yeah, and this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna provide you guys sort of a brief analysis here, and we will answer some of your questions at the end. So there are different ways of how to approach this topic, because this one ties to not only the geopolitical aspects, but also the global order as we know it, including other aspects that's taking place. Like I always say, you have to look at the big picture. And this is not about just this particular topic that the president, comedian Zelensky said, well, yeah, but he said he will be willing. That does not mean it's a done deal. It's not a fait accompli, because his master, the US, it might not allow him. There is one thing that a lot of people misunderstood about the dynamics that's going on in a situation like this, when one country is under the control, in this case Ukraine, under the control of the US. So they're not going to just allow, because President comedian Zelensky said, well, I would like to sit down with China. And no, that's not going to happen that way. So the reason I'm saying this, because John Kirby, he's the spokesperson for the National Security Council. Now, the National Security Council in Washington, that's usually the body that deals with the foreign policy matters. And that's the one that any decision, the president, as one who worked in Washington, we're familiar with how the National Security Council works. Any decisions that's made at the council will be sent to the president for approval, then the implementation. What they already said, Kirby, speaking on behalf of the government, that they are not going to agree to any ceasefire or any initiative, let alone be launched by China.
Yep. Well, and so here's my two sides of this, right? And this is a question, I don't know that we know the answer to this, but I'd like to put it to you too.
Sure.
So the two options here are Zelensky went rogue and decided that he was going to actually broker peace, because you're absolutely right. That is the official word out of Washington. And that is that we're absolutely no ceasefire, no peace talks, not going to do it. Well, but then Zelensky goes out and says this, right? Because this is sort of the question of peace. Like, is this the first maybe point where Zelensky is going rogue against the US and against NATO, right?
Yeah.
Or is this actually something that the US said, okay, you can say this, right?
You can. Oh, the doggies
The
are
dogs.
running, so they must be excited
Yeah.
about some treats or something. So,
Or what's happening in the world.
yeah, or probably they're hearing this and it's like, no, Zelensky is out of his mind. So, now on a serious note, yes, that could be that possibility, but I don't see it personally. And again, just my personal opinion. And though I don't see it because if it were the case, the US would have responded to way back before they even at the beginning of the conflict when Russia presented the 12-point security concerns.
Right.
The US didn't even look at that.
Right.
It's the same. That's why I don't lean more towards that possibility because the US will have the final say.
Yeah.
My thinking is it's just President Comedian Zelensky
Yeah.
is seeing where things are headed because
Yeah.
now it's a fait accompli for Russia.
Mhm.
Russia's not going to give back the territory they took over.
Right.
It's that possibility is gone.
Yeah.
So that's a done deal. What President Comedian Zelensky is looking at right now, especially with just what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, what happened yesterday over the Black Sea?
Yeah. Okay.
Russia rather warned the United States about the flights of drones.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last warning.
Yeah.
So probably Zelensky understood to a degree, despite his lack of understanding what global affairs are all about, because he comes from a comedy background.
Right.
So
it's not his background.
Fact is fact. I don't sugarcoat things,
Yeah.
You call spade a spade.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
And he's realizing, oh, I'm just making it worse for my countrymen. Well, it's too late for that anyway.
Right.
But that is where the idea of now trying to sort of push that narrative of, well, maybe China can work out a deal and the West needs to accept that.
Well, and what do you think of the timing specifically? Because this came out at the exact same time. So we have the close of Tuesday, right?
Mm-hmm.
The close of the Tuesday talks between the Chinese president, Xi, and Vladimir Putin.
The visit,
right?
Yeah.
Yes. So they just finished day 2, right?
That's true. It's a 3-day trip.
Right.
I can't see that one, Elizabeth. I want to say thank you to whoever that person is for the super sticker.
Oh, thank you. All right. So we have 2 super stickers. Thank you to Ralph.
Thank you very much, Ralph.
Thank you. And then let's see. Yeah, it's Ralph again.
Oh,
thank you guys. We very much appreciate the super chats.
Thank you very much, Ralph. So you brought up a good point.
Mm-hmm.
And the good point, and I argued this before, that the idea of President Xi relationship with President Putin.
Mm-hmm.
The Western world looks at it from, oh, those are evil regimes and all this stuff, whatever. And the whole idea is to sell the narrative to the average Joe, average Jane in the Western world.
Right.
They won't understand what they are not disclosing. The West, governments, that is, they are not disclosing is that this relationship between Russia and China has the potentials of redirecting the global order.
Absolutely. And not only that, it's what they're saying. It's what they're saying they're going to do.
Yeah, and they are doing it. So the moment I knew about the upcoming trip of President Xi to Russia rather, I argued, this is not about just visiting President Putin.
Right.
This is about putting the dots on the letter for how the next or the new global order, that is, by the way, guys, it's emerging before our own eyes. It's a done deal. The West will not want to admit or accept that the world is already shifting, especially for us, the American government. We're having a hard time accepting this.
Right.
That is one of the reasons why President Xi went there.
Absolutely.
Because economic first,
absolutely,
then Ukraine second. President Xi wants to China to cement the economic aspect. And do you guys know why? It's because for anytime you look at history, anytime you look at geopolitical changes, they are preceded by 2 main things. One is financial.
Yep.
The other one is economic.
Yep.
Go back to World War II. How did we set up the system, the global order? By ensuring the dollar will be the only currency used, and by setting up the global economic order that will be headed by the US. That is the same things that is happening. That is why President Xi went to China. And you're right, because that nothing happens in a vacuum when it comes down to geopolitics. That's what I've learned as an analyst. Nothing happens in a vacuum. That is one of the issues then.
Absolutely.
And you're absolutely correct.
Well, and so like let's for a second look at some of the things that were actually said on day 2, because this goes exactly with what you're saying right now, David.
Yeah.
So between Xi and Putin, so we can't, like you just said, we can't look at this in a vacuum. We have to look at this in the bigger picture of what's happening, and the timing absolutely cannot be denied. The timing between this event and what Zelensky said cannot be taken separately. So these are some of the things that were said, or sort of, I guess, happened during day 2 of the talks between Xi and Putin. So, and I think, honestly, perhaps this is the big one.
Yeah.
So Putin said, "We support the use of the Chinese yuan in payments between Russia and countries of Asia, Africa, and Latin America, and expressed confidence that such quote forms of payment will be developed between Russian partners and their colleagues in third countries."
Well, this is important because, by the way, guys, be on the lookout for a video we're going to be releasing a few days from now. The analysis we did about the Saudis.
Oh, that's huge.
So, what do I mean by this? The Saudis, which, by the way, I looked at the Western media. None. All the sources that I found, and we'll have a link for you for where we get it. All the sources that I found overseas. Basically, what it is, Saudis officially. If you follow me on Twitter, you already post something on it. So just check it out on Twitter if you like. The Saudis officially. Now with the XM, it's called XM. It's Export Import Chinese Bank. They agreed now to use, or I'm gonna use the term, adopt. So in geopolitics, you learn about some keywords. Here is a lot of weight in them. So now they're gonna be the Saudis will adopt the Chinese yuan renminbi. But here is the kicker of all this. This is not about just trading. It's about now China issuing loans to the Saudis in Chinese yuan renminbi. That is a big difference.
That's huge.
Just for you guys to know, because you're not gonna hear this anywhere else. And we're saying this with confidence, because that's what now is gonna be paving the way for how things gonna be. Now, here is a question for you, and we'll truly appreciate you if you can put your answer in chat. Now, since Saudi Arabia did this, and what does Saudi Arabia known for? Is the top oil exporter in the world and the leader of OPEC. Now the question is, will OPEC ditch the dollar now and move to the yuan?
That really is the biggest question, because what keeps the US dollar as reserve currency?
It's oil transactions. And by the way, this didn't happen overnight. Again, like you said earlier, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. You have to go back to 1970 when we took the dollar of gold standard. But even before that, this is where history is important. You have to go back to the beginning of the relationship between Saudi Arabia and the United States.
Very much so.
Because when we helped the Saudis discover oil back in 1919 with ConocoOil, that was company the first one. But when the Saudis declared their sovereignty officially as a sovereign state in 1932, I wrote a book about Saudi Arabia. That's why I'm remembering all this, because I did the research for it. From 1932 moving forward to the Bretton Woods meeting in Massachusetts after World War II, to the 1970s, the deal that was behind closed doors between the United States and Saudi Arabia was that all the oil transactions around the world would be conducted in the US dollar. That is what's at the heart of all this. So the US is very concerned. As a matter of fact, you all heard we got 3 banks that collapsed already. That's to me a hint for an explosion on its way financially. That is, for the banking system here in the US. But to go back to your point, is that you're right. Nothing happens in a vacuum when it comes down to
Mhm.
geopolitics. So you have to take this into consideration. President Xi's visit to Russia,
Yep.
President Putin's declaration,
Mhm.
and now you get the Saudis.
Yep.
Iraq already announced they're going to be using the yuan.
Yep.
Iran, of course, is moving that way. Turkey is considering that.
Yep.
Then you have, which I found, by the way, I found there is a Latin American country now.
Yeah.
It's Honduras. Honduras president, Xiomara Castro,
Mhm.
decided to reestablish ties with mainland, not with Taipei,
Yep.
with mainland China.
Yep.
Why is this important, you may ask? And again, putting my geopolitical analyst hat on,
Yeah.
is because it will pave the way for China and Latin America, mainly when it comes down to Argentina joining BRICS.
Yep.
And you all see where this is headed.
Well,
Doesn't-
and Mexico trying to join BRICS
Oh,
also.
well,
we
we
did
did
yeah,
the
we
show-
did a show
yeah.
on that last week.
Yeah, which is like to the US.
Mhm.
Somebody put a sticker there. I want to say thank you to
Oh,
that person, whomever
I
that is.
think it's Boone.
Hey, Boone. I
Awesome.
can't see
Hey,
from this-
it's nice to see
Oh,
you, Boone.
thank you, Boone. We truly appreciate it. So that is where the issue is. So when you hear something, a statement by President Comedian Zelensky, like,
Yeah.
well, I'd like to sit down with China, you have to literally, China will have to think twice about doing that.
Yeah.
It's because if China does that, they are opening a platform
Yep.
to justify what's going on in Ukraine. Well,
Yeah.
wait a minute. The question becomes, who caused that problem to begin with? Who
Yeah.
created the conflict to begin with?
Yep.
Let's just call spade a spade.
Right.
With it,
Right.
you know.
And that's not even new. And I think it's very interesting right now because this conflict is becoming less and less popular with the American people. So as a lot of this information is starting to come out, it's becoming less and less popular. And we have elections
Yeah.
coming up here.
Well, this one will tie to what you said earlier about
Mhm.
could it be the possibility that the US will let this go?
Yeah.
It's because of the upcoming elections.
Yep.
As you all know, our system is based on elections. We don't think
Yeah.
next 25, 30 years. We don't
Right.
have that kind of strategic vision.
Right.
This is why our foreign policy is so freaking fragmented.
It is.
That's
It's
all I can-
very fragmented.
I don't know how to explain it. It's
Mhm.
broken.
Yeah.
We don't even have foreign policy.
Right.
We didn't have it for the last 30, 40 years.
Well, which is why we are where we are
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. So the challenge for why we don't want Ukraine to have any talks with China,
Yeah.
because we don't want
Hmm.
the US government, that is, we don't want the Chinese to be able to break the deal because,
Right.
like I always say, and I know I said this so many times, I like to repeat myself.
Hmm.
In international relations, context matters.
Absolutely.
The fact that China brokered the deal on a Ukraine conflict sent strong messages on the global stage.
Right.
We already saw it with the arch enemies,
Right.
Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
That was huge to be able to broker that.
Yeah. If only you guys know, I think we're going to do a video on this.
Okay.
And I'm leaning towards doing that.
Yeah.
I'd like for us to talk. Anytime we do videos, guys, we talk as a team, of
Mhm.
course, we make a decision, but you need to know about the root causes of the conflicts between Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Mhm.
That goes back 1,400 years ago.
Yeah.
1,400 years ago, starting in 632 when
Mhm.
Prophet Muhammad died. And yet China was able to break the deal.
That's
Yeah.
kind of China has its own problems, right? So
Oh, yeah.
I also want to be clear. We make this, I think, announcement on every single video. We are not pro China. It is not about pro or anti anything. It is about paying attention to what's actually happening around you right now. And so, you can say, oh, this is good, or oh, this is bad, or whatever. But the reality is that the world order is changing. We're watching it change in front of our eyes. And that's why we did this topic. It's not just about what Zelensky said. It's about exactly what you're talking about, David, that China stepped in and was able to so while the US is pushing for war, what China is saying it's doing, okay,
Yeah.
I don't know what it is or isn't doing, is seemingly standing out for peace. And that's very embarrassing to a country that is pushing for nonstop war.
Yeah. Also, China's not doing it for the goodness of its heart.
Exactly, which I
just-
really want.
Yeah.
Yes,
Let's
please
put
say
the
more
dots
about
on the
that.
letter
Yeah.
because you guys know this by now. our channel. This is not about we want a sort of applause, or we care less for that stuff. We're here to provide you accurate information to the best of our abilities. We provide you analysis that we believe you will not get anywhere else, because we don't just talk out of the whim of our minds, just because we feel like today calling ourselves geopolitical analysts.
Right.
No, we don't do that. Then you all know this. This is why our community is important.
Yes.
This is why it's important. And that is why, to understand why China is doing this, because China now took the gloves off. If you guys only see or read the latest report that was issued by the Chinese Foreign Ministry about American democracy, I read it. I read it.
It's probably pretty rough.
It was. But it wasn't about that.
Yeah.
It was about how China now is in a phase of its existence that is able now to say to the US no, or challenge the US openly. And you know what it means in the world of geopolitics?
It means the world is changing.
Exactly.
The world order is changing.
Exactly. So that becomes a fait accompli for the Western world, whether they like it or not. The global order is changing. That is why we are objecting to any initiative coming from China. They already achieved one for the peace deal between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And if they do this for Ukraine, it's over for the US.
It is. And especially because the conflict has been so heavily pushed in the United States. You know, we've been hearing about it for the entire time. I mean, our celebrities have gone to Ukraine. Our president has gone to the Ukraine to meet with Zelensky. So, you know, this is something that here in the United States, everyone knows about. If China is the one to broker the deal, to broker peace, and not the United States or not the West,
you're right.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine what that looks like? And really, I mean, it is a little bit embarrassing that China is coming and saying, "Hey, let's find peace," and Russia is even saying more, you know, so, right? But the U.S. is like, no, we're gonna war, we're gonna fight, we're gonna battle, and that's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah, and that's what John Kirby said, that it will be no ceasefire.
No ceasefire.
This leads me to put another question for you. If you would like to put the answer on the chat, feel free, because that's how we engage, guys. We're here to learn from you as well. So do you think, here's the question, which the answer is obvious, but that's not about that. It's about, you know, engaging you intellectually per se, because that's how we learn from each other. Do you think the US has ever been an honest broker?
Ooh, that's
a question for you.
Pretty big question.
Do you think the US has ever been an honest broker? Now, let me go back to before I forget, one key information that, again, whether you heard about it or not, here in the US, by the way, no media outlet is talking about it. You know what it was?
Which one?
It's a conference that took place yesterday in Moscow with 40 lawmakers from Africa went to meet in Moscow.
Wow.
Yeah, nobody heard about this. You know,
it's not being reported
40,
at all here.
40. Which tells you what? It tells you that Africa is ditching the US for the East. Remember a year ago? We did a video, and it's one on a record. You guys go to our channel. You go back a year ago. I remember I did one with Ross. And in which I said, and I do remember what I'm saying, because I'm not that old yet, so I don't forget things.
Well, and you're very good at remembering.
Well, because I have garlic in the morning. And I do olive oil every day. So and I don't touch medication. And I don't drink soda. And I don't eat outside.
Me neither.
I cook my own food.
I actually really love cooking.
Well, it's because a good mind is in a good body. So
absolutely.
As a fellow human, you know, if I am to just give you quick advice, stay out of junk food. Stay out of it. So let's go back to our talk. So what I said a year and a half ago was Africa. I said, mark my word. It's on a record there. Mark my word. Africa is going to become the next geopolitical competing ground between the West and Russia and China. And that's exactly what is happening now.
Absolutely. And what does Africa have?
Oh, natural resources.
Natural resources.
Massive.
Massively.
But
Absolutely.
but it's more about what Russia is offering Africa.
Yeah.
You
What
know,
is Russia offering Africa?
two main things:
Okay.
cancel the debt
Oh,
and
wow.
free grain.
Wow, that's huge.
It is huge. I mean, Putin is not doing it for the goodness of his
No,
heart
of
either.
course not.
Let's make
Yeah.
it clear, guys. In
Mhm.
geopolitics, it's all about strategic interest.
Yep.
End of story. China doing what it's doing because of the strategic interest. Saudi is doing what they're doing because of the strategic
Right.
interest. Iraq, Iran, Turkey,
The United States.
United States, you name it, any country in this world,
Mhm.
because that's what global affairs are all
Absolutely.
about. It's about securing your
Yep.
interest.
Yep.
The question becomes is, are you securing your interest the right way, or are
Right.
you trampling upon others
Right.
because you have the power?
Right.
Well, power is responsibility.
Right.
You can abuse it.
Well, and the thing is, so this human behavior thing, right?
Yeah.
So, what eventually happens to the bully, right? So each individual country may not have been strong enough to stand up,
Mhm.
but together they're stronger than the bully, right? And so it's not like you're talking about, it's not right or wrong, it's not good or bad. It's just sort of what we're looking at happening here. And it looks like all of these countries are basically coming together and saying, we're tired of being trampled on. We're tired of, oh no, what happened?
Oh,
Oh no. Hold on, guys.
yeah, we kind of lost the screen.
Hold on, guys. Stand by.
Now the still can hear us, right?
I think so.
Well, then I'll keep talking, even though I don't see your faces or your chat. So, but anyway, you're absolutely correct, Elizabeth, about the idea of the bullying. That is very concerning.
All right, I think they can see us again.
There we go.
Oh, no, maybe. All right, sorry guys. They can still hear us, I think.
Okay, well that will be fine.
All right.
It'll be fine. You guys know our faces. We didn't change much. I didn't age that quickly between last live stream and today.
All
So,
right, they might be able to see us again.
yeah.
Can you guys see us? Hopefully in a second.
There you are. So,
sorry guys.
technology.
Technology.
Yeah.
All
Now,
right.
now you see why, Elizabeth, I don't do technology. Stay away
That's
from
okay.
it.
That's
So,
okay. Okay, you guys can
yeah.
see us again, right? Put it in the chat if you guys can see
Yeah,
us.
please, so we know, and you can hear us also. Yeah, go back to your point about bullying.
So the reality is that it's bad policy to bully, because that policy, eventually people are going to figure out how to get out from under that. And that's what we're watching happen right now. And so even if you look at, like even you, David, how many years have you been predicting something like this happening?
For quite a while.
For quite a while.
Actually,
because
believe it or not, when we went to Iraq,
yeah.
I said this is the beginning of the end.
Well, and what was that, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
And so that's the thing is, you think these things, they happen fast, but they don't. They happen slowly.
Yeah.
And these other countries have been sitting and biding their time. And as they've been biding their time, the world order has started to shift.
Yeah. And the way to see it, to provide concrete examples, like I said earlier, what are the two main things in geopolitics you look for? Finance and economics.
Yep.
Look what's going on in the financial market.
Oh my gosh.
How the global system.
Yeah.
You guys watched the interview with Rick Turin. It's someone I trust, by the way. I usually, it's not easy for me to say that.
Yeah. Oh, very much.
Yeah. If I say
Very
I trust you, that means I trust you. So, but anyway, you look at the financial changes, because the financial changes are a sign and an indication of that change in the global order.
Yeah.
We did it after World War II. That was just as simple. Now you're seeing it with China. Now the question that we need to ask is whether, and I can't answer this one because I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
Is whether China wants the yuan or renminbi to become the global currency.
It's interesting you ask that, because for a while they were like, oh no, we don't want that. Oh, we don't want that.
Yeah.
Oh, we don't want that. But what are we watching happen right now? Right? What are we watching happen? We're watching them, the yuan basically be accepted more and more and more and more. although there is the currency, the joint currency, I think it was like the BRICS joint currency that they've
Yeah.
been developing for the
Yeah.
last decade. So, but I'm not seeing that necessarily used, but that doesn't mean that that's not going to come on to the stage and be a player.
That's true, except that for the Chinese yuan, the yuan renminbi,
Mhm.
it went up from in about 1992. It went up from
Yeah.
2%
Yeah.
to 20% in 2021.
Right. And
So-
that's what I'm saying. So
yeah,
what
but
are we
they still-
watching?
yeah,
Hi-
but they still
hi,
the
buddy.
Chinese, to my knowledge, again,
Yeah.
I've talked to some people who knows inside out,
Mhm.
and I was told that I was informed, rather, they are not interested in rendering the yuan as the global currency,
Yeah.
same way the US dollar.
Right.
They do want it on the
Right.
global stage, but not the same capacity as the US dollar.
Well, so
Excuse me.
and I understand them saying that, but is that what we're watching play out?
No,
Do you know
but-
what I mean?
Yeah, but at the same time, if other countries wants to trade with China using the
Right.
yuan,
Right.
then that's going to be on the bilateral level. This is where
Yeah.
people confuse the two. There's the bilateral trade and there's the global trade.
Right.
For us, the US dollar in the global trade. Someone put the chat there.
Oh.
Thank you. Super sticker, rather.
Yes.
I can see that. So I want to say thank you.
Okay, I can put it up there though.
Yeah, I like to.
Thank you, Geopolitics. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't know. I'll interrupt my talk to say thank you.
Well, we really appreciate your super stickers and super chats, guys, and we really appreciate your support overall. And we said this last time, but really, you guys are the reason that we do this, and we can't get the message out alone. We need you guys. This is
For
a
sure.
team. We are together in this, just like we're one world. We're in this together. So thank you guys very much. We very much appreciate all of your support.
Exactly. Now I forgot what I was talking about.
You're talking about the yuan, whether it's actually going to be a reserve
Oh, I
currency
see. Yeah,
or
yeah,
not.
Yeah. Well, it's because I'm sure you guys know when a currency becomes this global like the US,
Yeah.
there are some responsibility comes with it, but there are also some concerns.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's what we are watching. In our case,
Mhm.
and I don't shy away from saying it, we weaponized the dollar
Absolutely.
to the point of now you're seeing countries kind of like
Mhm.
one after another.
Yeah.
I mean, if you only know, I wish I can talk about the stuff I know, but I
know.
can't. If you only know the nature of the relationship between Saudi Arabia and the US,
Yeah.
what goes behind closed doors.
Yeah.
And yet the Saudis decided time to move with a different currency because they are watching the trend.
Right.
They're seeing where things are headed.
Right.
Now, one thing I want to make clear is that the change in the currency for the
Mhm.
Saudis, it's only in a bilateral trade with China.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the US dollar regarding oil
Right.
on a global level.
Right.
The oil between the sale of oil from Saudi Arabia to China can be
Yeah.
conducted in the Chinese yuan renminbi,
Yeah.
but not when the Saudis sell oil to, let's say, country A. They will
Right.
accept payments in US dollars.
Right. Well, I mean, that would be a big break. Like if they
Oh.
made that jump. So here's what we talk about on the global stage, right? How do you boil a frog alive? You turn up the heat 1 degree at a time. So if they had gone and the Saudis had said, okay, well, all oil transaction in the yuan, that would absolutely overturn
Yeah.
just about everything, right? That
Yeah.
would absolutely just make a giant mess of our economies, global economy.
Mm.
So they didn't, right? They did one degree, right? One
Yeah.
degree.
It's strategy.
It is. It's strategy.
Because still, as of today, the US dollar is still strong. On the
It
market.
is.
Let's make that
Absolutely.
clear, guys. Still, but there are a lot of people now are concerned about their finances because the hegemony and strength of the dollar, it's
Right.
not going to be there forever. I know some of us here in the US are clueless about what lies ahead.
That's really
financially.
it. And that's why we're doing this
Exactly.
is because you're absolutely right. The Western media isn't reporting on this. And so, you can say, well, the US dollar is really strong still. Absolutely, right? Absolutely, that's the case. But we're watching these little things. We're watching the degrees so that the frog doesn't get boiled, so that you guys can sort of see what's going on underneath, what's really
Yeah.
happening. And so, and I don't know exactly how this is going to play out. Maybe you do, but I don't. But I can see the trends. I can see the markers that are telling you this is starting to happen.
Well, I can tell you
Yeah.
if you want to know.
Please tell me. I'm interested. I'm interested.
Usually in a setting like this, and it's been,
Mhm.
back then when I was in DC, you'll have a conversation inside
Yeah.
about trends in the world and
Yeah.
what we will do if a country A
Yeah.
decided to challenge the US. And there's always one particular tool that has nothing to do with nukes, it has nothing to do with. And the tool that we always had a conversation over
Uh-huh.
is you're going to have to entangle that country in conflicts and drag it longer. This is why, in the
Yep.
case of China, you
Right.
seeing the tensions on the Taiwan Strait and the
Right.
South China Sea is for that reason.
That's huge.
It is big.
That's huge.
Remember when we did the video before and I
Yep.
put that scenario of just imagine
Yep.
the South China Sea blockade by the US
Mhm.
using Philippine territory
Yeah.
and Taiwan, of course. And what's going to happen to the flow of energy to China
Yep.
will be cut off.
Yep.
That was just a scenario, but it wasn't a scenario.
Right.
There's one thing I tell you guys that I don't say everything,
Mhm.
and for a reason. It has nothing to do with government.
Yeah.
I don't say everything because I want our viewers to
think for
yourselves.
Think
Think,
for
because that's
yourselves,
how
yeah.
you sort of train your brain into
Yep.
starting to go out of the comfort of your
Yeah.
the comfort zone, rather,
Yeah.
intellectually speaking, and you start to think outside the box
Right.
because we want to help you see the big picture.
Right.
That's why I don't say everything all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll share it, sometimes I don't. So if I don't say it,
Yeah.
if I don't see it,
If you don't say it.
if I don't say it, speak clearly, Mr.
Uh-huh.
David. If I don't say it, is because there is a reason for it,
Right.
and that's the reason why.
Well, and that absolutely makes sense because the reality is we're not here to tell you guys what to think.
No.
Absolutely
No.
not.
I
We
refuse
can't.
that.
We
I
can't tell
refuse
you
that.
what to
Yes.
think. And we're not a news channel, right? We do analysis, but we want you guys to figure out what's going on yourselves. And honestly, David reads every single comment. And that's because he's right. We learn from you guys too. There may be things going on in the world that we don't know about, in your part of the world, even specifically, that we don't know about, that we would like to know about. And so, please put comments, put it in the chat. We read those things so that we can actually get a boots on the ground, better picture of what's happening in the world. And, to be able to keep an open mind about what's changing. Human beings don't like change. We don't like change. We want everything to be the same always. But the only constant is change.
That's true.
That's all that there is. And so, we're looking at this situation right now, I guess coming back to our topic a little bit, but coming back to our topic of, Zelensky inviting China basically to the peace talks table. Western media is not really reporting on it at all, or very much. I maybe at all. Not very much for sure.
I had an interview yesterday with an entity in Washington, D.C., and they brought up this particular point. And I said, just don't be surprised. You're not going to hear much about it here in the West. So, one more thing before I forget.
Yeah.
Well, since you not only producer, you everything, but you manage the channel,
Yeah.
I would like to do one day Q&A for our channel members.
Okay. So guys,
like to
we
do that
have
one day for
we
you
have a join button, and it's a specific membership that we have that's just, for people who support the channel.
Yeah.
And so hit it. And yes, guys, if you are a member, there is a live Q&A coming.
Yeah.
So just stand by, and I guess we'll put it up, and then please put your questions in if you can't be in there with us. But because we can't take a bunch of questions here, we would love to do that for our members in that section.
Yeah. I've been thinking, I got up last night at 4 a.m.
That's
I just woke up. Sometimes I woke up.
4 a.m. is the time when a lot of people have their absolute best thoughts.
Well, that was the first thing that crossed my mind.
Huh. Oh,
believe
to do
believe
that?
it or not. And guys, and I mean it when I say it. I don't say things just to sound, whatever. You know me. I don't.
Yes, it's
It was
true.
4 o'clock in the morning,
Uh-huh.
and that's what hits me.
Yeah.
And I was like, when was the last time we did Q&A for the channel members?
I think never
We
because
never did.
yeah.
We never did. And I'll
Well,
say it.
let's do it.
Shame on me.
It's okay.
Shame on me.
All right.
I'll take one for the team.
Okay. Well, David's
Shame on
4
me.
a.m. musings.
So-
you guys are gonna
so-
get a members only Q&A.
Q&A. Yeah. So I was thinking on a serious note. I was
Yeah.
thinking of doing this next week,
Okay.
and we'll answer your questions, and that's to at
Yeah.
least one thing we can do for our members.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's because it's a community. Remember, we're here to learn from you as well.
Yeah.
Your questions, just not just questions. It's
Yeah.
a learning aspect for me personally. and I
Absolutely.
speak for myself. So-
Absolutely.
So that is where I see. So just to go back quickly here to wrap it up, and
Yeah.
we'll answer questions
Yeah.
because we go into
Rumble.
we doing
So
Rumble, guys.
there,
after
guys,
this.
we can't always say what we
No.
think here. So immediately after our live streams on YouTube, we go to Rumble. So check out our Rumble. I'll put up the thing for our Rumble up in here.
And that's when I will be talking about the things about the Saudis. Nobody
Yes,
knows.
yes.
Yeah. That's what I
Because
was talking.
that's where we can speak a little bit
Yeah.
more freely on these topics. And censorship is real,
Yeah.
and we're doing the best
Yeah.
we can with it. So check out our Rumble live stream immediately after this.
I wish I had my book with me here. I'll show you the pages where the government decided to redact it. They blocked
Oh
it.
yeah, which book is it?
It's the Saudi book.
Oh, we
I
don't have
have
the
it
Saudi book
So
here.
anyway, it's redacted. So now I can't talk about that because those are our system works into classifications and all that.
Yeah.
That it's off limit. So, but I'll be able to talk about other things on the Rumble. So that's what we're gonna be doing. So just remember, next week, Elizabeth will work it out somehow based on her schedule, or maybe after. Oh, next week you busy? Whenever she's gonna work it out.
Yes, I will
There's
figure it
another
out.
super sticker.
There is. There's 2 more super stickers. Oh, there's like 3 more super stickers. Thank you guys so much. And I apologize if I missed them. But Trevor, thank you. Lover of
a Russian.
the Russian team. Oh yeah,
Oh, it's from London. I know. Lover of Russian from London. He's always on the other channel as well.
Oh yeah.
And I want to say thank you to you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I read his comments. I read everything.
That's cool.
That's a level of support. It means a
Yeah.
lot to us. So
Well,
thank you so much.
Thank you. And Geopolitics, thank you very much. He says, see y'all on Rumble. Guys, can one of you find our Rumble channel and put it in the chat for everybody? Because I don't have it. I apologize, guys, but if one of you can put it in the chat, that would be amazing. Okay,
Well,
so
good.
let's wrap
say-
up a little bit more, and then we'll take a couple questions.
So that is the bottom line to all this, is that you think about the president's visit to Russia. At the same time, you think about the conference of the 40 leaders. And by the way, that visit now is in preparation for the second round of the Russian African leaders, which is going to be taking place in St. Petersburg in July 2023.
Yeah.
This is a follow-up from 2019 in Sochi. And I was aware of this because I was doing the research at that time on the Russia book. That's how I knew the detail about it. But it didn't happen after. It was canceled, the second part, because of COVID.
Right.
That was the reason. So,
right.
Pardon me. So you take that into consideration. Then you take the decision by the Saudis to switch to the Chinese yuan or renminbi.
Yeah.
And of course, Iraq, Turkey, Iran. And you think about the Honduras president. You put all this within the context of what Vladimir Zelensky is saying.
Yep.
President comedian Zelensky saying.
Yep.
And it's going to become one of those. I am certain behind closed doors, the U.S. is going to sabotage any aspects of it.
Right.
I won't even be surprised that, and I'll say it, knowing what I know, the end for President comedian Zelensky is not going to be pretty.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this based on experience.
Well, and we watch some of the things that have sort of unfolded as this conflict has continued.
Yeah.
Over the last year, it's been, more and more things have come to light about this conflict. So at first the narrative was very controlled, but one of the biggest things I think that is coming to light right now is the amount of other countries that have that are still exporting and importing from Russia.
Europe itself.
Europe
Europe
itself.
itself is importing
Mhm.
energy fuel from Russia
Yeah.
as we speak.
As
You
we
will think
speak.
that they're saying, "Oh, complete sanctions on Russia." It's
Right.
a lie.
It is.
It is a lie. You know, Morocco and Tunisia now
Mhm.
are selling diesel to
Mhm.
Europe that is coming from Russia. All they're doing is adding one additive to it or something so it can bypass the sanctions,
Right.
and selling it to Europe for 5 or 6 times the amount.
Right.
China is selling gas to Europe. So just to show you, you know,
Mhm.
what they're saying versus what it is are two opposite things. They're lying,
Absolutely.
basically. That's what it is.
Absolutely. And so, you know, that's a little bit, you know, what I found this report that talked about the Polish exports to Russia.
Yeah.
And so, you know, especially with Poland specifically talking very, very much about, you know, oh, we have to do this, we have to do this, we have to do this. But then on the other side are still getting Russian imports and exports. And I think they're the third largest exporter to Russia. The third largest exporter to Russia.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, we agree with you, but we would still like to sell you our things.
Yeah. Well,
We'd still
Poland,
like to sell you our goods.
yeah, Poland is becoming a pawn of the US. You know
Yeah.
what they're doing? Do you want to know?
Yeah, I would love to know.
Preparing 300,000 soldiers that they intend to send to Ukraine.
Oh,
That's basically
man.
digging a hole for themselves.
Yeah.
Why? Because the leadership in Poland telling people, oh, the US will defend us, the US will stay with us.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're not disclosing this.
Yeah.
Because now Poland is saying, well, we can send the MiGs. They send the fighter
Right,
jets to
right.
Ukraine. They have no clue what they're doing. That their president Duda is dragging the. It's
Mhm.
no different than Australia.
Yeah.
Look what Australia did. And by the way, they lied before when they said, "Oh, the deal is only over $100 billion." You
Yeah.
know how much the cost for those 5 stops?
Yeah.
$338 billion.
Mhm.
When the economy of Australia went down by 40% because China shut down the trade.
Yeah.
Just you'll say to yourself, what's wrong with those countries? Don't they have like some legs to stand on, politically
Mhm.
speaking?
Well, I think the answer is that they don't.
They don't.
And so I want you to say that thing about Australia again, because this is something honestly I think we should do. And you guys let us know if you want this episode. This is something that I think we should do a show on, and that is, how much did Australia's economy decline?
40%.
40%.
Because China shut down the trade.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure China still gets it gets coal or something.
Yeah.
They're still getting some. But overall, the big picture, 40%. And Canberra, the capital where the government is lying to us, is by saying, oh, the prediction for next quarter looks good. It's no different than what our government's doing.
Yeah.
No different than what
much.
the UK is doing.
Yep.
You know, they're all lying to their citizens.
Right.
You know, Australia, you're absolutely correct. We need to do one video on Australia to expose the truth as to where things are.
Right. I mean, just because that's a huge deal. That's
It
a
is.
huge, huge deal. And, you know, like I said before, I said this earlier, that China has its own problems. It is not like, oh, China is amazing. It's not about that. It's about what is actually happening and making sure you keep an open mind and open eyes for what the data says, what the numbers say was actually, because people can spin whatever narrative they want, right? But if you look at the actual numbers, if you look at the actual declines, they tell a very different story. Okay, we only have a few minutes, guys, so I would love to take.
We'll say thank you to that individual.
Yes. Okay. Lover of the Russian team, thank you.
Thank you again. We truly appreciate it.
Bird Yashiro, thank you also.
Now let's see if they have any questions.
I know that there's questions in here, guys, but if you can repost your question with the word question, because it's just me and I have to go figure out where y'all's questions are.
Is there any question from that super sticker there?
No.
Okay.
I mean, it's comments.
I thought
Thank you, guys. All right, guys, put your questions in and type the word question, because Q, a question. Quasi B, regarding your comment on, all right, hey, there it is. Okay. Quasi B, regarding your comment on entangling countries in conflict, do you think the legislation will push for the war on the cartels in Mexico?
Oh no. We can't for a simple reason. The cartel is very wired inside the government. Mexico knows it, they understand it, and they can. You will think, well, they're going to send in the military. You have no idea how armed to the teeth the cartels are. Any advanced weapons, they have it. I used to go to San Carlos.
Oh yeah.
When I was stationed in Arizona, across the border or whatever. And I used to go, I never had an issue. Also Mexico, like any other country, you go, you don't create any issues, you shouldn't have any issues. But the idea of us cutting the cartel, it's nonsense. We won't be able to anyway.
Well, and if you guys haven't done any research on, perhaps a 3-letter agency's entanglement in that situation, some research might be prudent on that particular topic, dealing with cartels and the war on drugs overall.
So the short answer is no.
Yes,
we can win that.
Okay, let's do, this might be the last question. So just because we're running out of time and we need to be on Rumble. Okay. Oh, wait. Let me see. I can see the super chat came in, but it's not showing up on StreamYard. There it is. Okay, question from Geopolitics. Thank you.
Thank you, JC.
What would it mean if China hosted peace talks?
Well, what it means basically is now that's a clear message that the global order has shifted. It's already shifting, but it has officially shifted, which means that now China ascends to that title of a global superpower.
Yeah.
And the West is not going to allow that. I'll tell you this right now. That's why we are fomenting tensions in Taiwan. You're going to have to keep tensions with the country, because what's at the core of it is very simple.
Right.
You know what it is we can compete with the Chinese technologically.
Yep.
You look at the space now that do you know they finished their space station? It's completed.
No, because no one's talking about the fact that they finished the space station.
It's completed. And they're going to now be working on the lab jointly with the Russians. And Russia has a lot of experience in space. It's the competition. We can compete with the Chinese, because that's why we can't even sanction China. It will be suicide for the United States if we ever sanction.
Well, and the reality is that we built China up. Who built China up?
Yeah.
Who sent jobs overseas?
With it.
Who wants to have higher quality of life? So we purchase things from China that are cheaper to make than had they been made in the United States. Who did that?
Exactly. So
the United States did that.
Yeah.
And the Western world did that.
Well, you look at just in Germany, BMW moved its operations to China.
Right.
They're not gonna. French President Macron, his last trip to China, it wasn't about the EU or Europe, whatever. It was about the interest of France, because they wanted to ensure. And you know why he went over there? It's because China moved forward with the building of airplanes. So he was concerned about Airbus. Because that is where the big concern. Because now China does not need Airbus, and China can bypass Boeing. That's why I always say, guys, look at the big picture. Don't ever look at just one. They are so for us, one tool that left in our toolbox is to foment more tensions and keep the Chinese busy and all that stuff.
Right.
So being involved in these negotiations, we're not going to allow, because it'll send the signal on the global stage that U.S. is done.
Well, but the U.S. now has that's almost like a dropping of a glove, though, or like throwing down the gauntlet or whatever you want to call it, where it's like, okay, well, so China has said we want to broker peace, and the Western world says absolutely not. But it throws peace into the mix. It actually says, look, the other countries of the world are looking at this. And are looking at what the Western world is now going to do. Yeah.
Well, that's why you're seeing Africa doing what it's doing.
Right.
And by the way, just yesterday, Secretary Blinken now is threatening Eritrea. The problem in Eritrea with Tigray and all that, with war crimes.
Wow.
Just 6 months ago, he was praising Hamidati. His name is Hamidati, the head of the in Eritrea. Now it's turning on him. That's why I won't be surprised.
Yeah.
You know what we're going to be hearing soon about the Saudis? human rights
Mhm.
abuses.
That's always the go-to. And
Yeah.
that's a we're going to talk more about that on
On-
Rumble
yeah,
because we
need
can
to
do
go.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, one more. Let's see. Oh, and Raphael, I think you're a member. Thank you for joining. Question: we lost a whole army in Ukraine, and now we're putting another army together with people training from all over. How is it going to work?
It won't. It's just to drag the conflict. That's the objective of it. This is not about putting an end to. You all know, you and I know, Ukraine saying they're gonna win the war if the West supplies weapon. It's nonsense. It's a lie. It's like what they're saying. The sanctions now crippled Russia.
Right.
It did not.
No.
Russia's becoming more wealthy than it did before the
Right.
conflict.
Right.
It's a lie, guys. Don't buy into that. Pay close attention to what you're reading or hearing. So,
yep. Okay.
Well, we're gonna have to close it because we need to go. Just before I forget, please remember we're gonna be doing Q&A for the channel members.
Channel members.
So please just prepare your questions. And once Elizabeth, she has a lot. She deals with a lot of stuff with the channel.
So much stuff.
Because
guys.
I can't. I'll say it straightforward, and I'm very grateful on behalf of the entire team. Without her, there will be no channel.
Thank you.
You give credit where credit is due. That's my
I
motto.
that very much.
So, well, we look forward. I hope you guys can jump into Rumble. We'll be there, but we'll be talking about different topics.
And if you want to find us on Rumble, sorry guys, I don't have the link, but just type into the search box Geopolitics and Conflict Show. It's the same show. And then follow us or follow us, subscribe, like all of the things on Rumble. And we will see you there in like 15-ish minutes.
Yeah. All right, guys. All right. Well, we wish you a good day and look forward to seeing you next time. As always, prepare yourself for changing world order. Till next time. Bye-bye.